Woo! What's up, everybody? We're back. A little double header today. Feels good, man. Feels good. Oh, man. It feels good to be back, chat. We got another stream today. Just one more, man. You cannot say I don't love y'all. 2 streams in one day. Alrighty. It feels good to be back. 2 streams in one day. We have been ecstatic. I know, Naim. I'm like, wow, double the fun. It feels great. Don't get me wrong. We're doing a lot of streams, which are great. And we have another really cool company. We've been chatting with a lot of companies doing things in space. You guys know that's like right up my alley, which is cool. I hope you slept well, Naim. Good morning to you. You're up early, Mr. Early Bird. But yeah, we're chatting with another space company. I feel like I don't mind doing multiple streams in a day if we have the right guest on and the right folks, and we've tended to get the right folks. We also uploaded. Excuse me. Let me put my. I was wearing a jacket earlier. I feel like a jacket fits well with this fit, so I'm putting that same jacket back on. But as I was saying, we had 2 guests on today. First one, we had a really dope conversation with a founder building out of Nigeria, building a really cool defense tech company. Chat out with the CTO. Shout out to Max, really good guy. Maxwell, shout out to you. You were awesome. I can't wait. Dude, we have so many clips in the vault. I think we need to bring somebody on that can just like I know Camille's great, but I low-key think we need help. Like, I think I'm going to have to bring somebody in-house that can help with the amount of the surplus of content that we have that needs to be just like shared. Also, crap, let me make sure he got the right, I'm hoping he got the invite. I think he did. Like 80% sure he got it. But Cam, if you didn't, I think he'll be joining us here shortly. But we've been getting a ton of clips, a ton of dope stuff, and chatting with a ton of founders, which has been great. As a matter of fact, he just accepted. Let me message him. Sorry. Let me just message Cam real quick. Update it with the correct join link, because completely my fault. I think I sent him the link way too late. So this is on me. And I apologize, Cam, for starting 15 minutes late. But before I bring him on the stage, because we got him backstage, I'm excited to chat. Y'all know I'm a nerd when it comes to space stuff. Like, complete nerd. It's like probably my favorite types of companies to talk to is because I feel like they have a different type of I would say like ambition level, and then also like risk tolerance. And today we're chatting with a dope founder. He is building a company called Constellation Space. And this should be a fun conversation because he is indeed building a company that services space missions. We're chatting with the CEO, Kamran. So without further ado, let me bring him up because again, we're starting kind of late. That's my fault. And I don't want to hold him up, man. I don't want to waste anybody's time. I don't want to have us waiting too long. So without further ado, Cam, welcome to the stream. Welcome to the stage. It's a pleasure to have you. I know you're calling in from SF. I hope you're staying warm out there. It is freezing here in Miami, ironically, but how are you doing, brother?
Hey, Bryce. Nice to meet you. Yeah, I'm doing great. It's I think like in the 70s right now here, so it's quite nice.
Yeah, I'm a bit jealous. You shouldn't have told me that, man. It's like 30 degrees in Miami. First time ever.
Oh wow, yeah. I don't normally think of Miami as like a super cold place, so it's very sad for you.
Yeah, it's one of those times, but I do appreciate you coming on and chatting with me, talking more about what you're doing at Constellation, the things you guys are building, and just getting me more in tune with what's happening in the satellite space. Because of course, I know everyone sees the glorified space missions and all of this stuff that, like, oh man, like we shot whatever to the moon or into, the galaxy. But normally when people think about space, they don't think, oh man, well, what about the companies servicing the satellites and mission critical operations and the things that make these missions actually work and go well? So I'm excited to chat with you and also just to learn more about your background.
Yeah, absolutely. Happy to get started. So the idea for Constellation essentially came about um, when I was at SpaceX.
Yeah.
So prior to Y Combinator, I worked at SpaceX, and I kind of joined at a weird time. So like 2 days before I had joined, there's a rumor at least that Elon was like on one of his private jets and he was playing Dota,
Yeah.
and his game was lagging. So he called up like the Starlink VP, Mike Nichols, and he's like, "You need to make the network faster." And that kind of sent everyone into a bit of a frenzy because Starlink obviously is very optimized for things like throughput. It's hard to like have a ton of users when you're building out like space infra for internet networking.
Yeah.
So he was kind of on the back burner a bit, but that put everyone into a bit of a frenzy. And when I joined, I was essentially on a team of three people working on optimizing the ground network for latency. And so that was essentially like blending together the satellite constellation, as well as like planned rollouts for ground infra, running simulations essentially, looking into the next couple months, the next couple years, and looking at how that throughput and latency were factored into the network design. Kind of doing that for Starlink gave me a bit of a like push where I was like, it seems like Starlink was like the first to get here, but it
Yeah.
seems only logical to be like, oh, like all the other space companies that are like building satellite constellations will have this problem at some point. Especially considering that, like I don't know, you can very like recently look at like Amazon Leo, for example, like merging with Blue Origin, building like a mega constellation.
So when you
You
say
also have like,
satellite constellation, you're talking about like just a network of satellites in space that are owned by like one entity pretty much.
yeah, that's correct. We kind of call them like a constellation just because they like
It sounds
cover
better.
the yeah, it sounds pretty cool. But yeah, essentially, so yeah, that was the impetus for starting Constellation, was kind of that idea.
So take me back to pre SpaceX, pre NASA. Like, were you always interested in space? Like, what sparked your interest to say, I'm going to go down this route of just trying to figure out what's going on the frontier and like dedicating my life to researching and learning and working in that space?
Yeah. So when I was younger, I'll say like pre NASA,
Yeah.
actually was really into like animals. So I thought I'd be like a zoologist or something. But I had a really good physics teacher in high school, and I would like kind of stay after school. She was like the only teacher that like took me seriously enough to like spend time with me after school, I guess. So I would like stay after school. We'd like talk about like random like whatever. And she introduced me to like this like NASA program called VASTS, where
Mhm.
you essentially like write a couple of papers as a part of like a program. If you do well enough in the course, you get invited on site to like NASA Langley. You get to like work with the actual engineers on like a mock mission concept, essentially. That got me pretty excited about space. Um, but I wouldn't say that like I've ever kind of been exclusively focused on space for like its own sake or anything. It's
Yeah.
kind of just like where I found like a lot of really cool problems. And for Constellation specifically, it was like right place, right time kind of situation. I don't think it was like inevitable for me to form Constellation. It just kind of
Mhm.
happened. So
Were you like, you said you like talked about your teacher, your physics teacher in high school. A lot of people don't like the idea of like high level math and physics and these sorts of things. Did you always take to math at a very high level and just kind of see it as something that made sense to you?
That's a good question. I would say definitely not. Yeah, my older sister, she's like 2 years older than me, but she would like compete with me all the time when it came to like that kind of thing. And she definitely has like more of a knack for it. So I kind of felt like I was like maybe worse than like I actually was at math just because of
Yeah.
that like comparison. But um, I think it took me like taking college level math to like actually get an appreciation for it. Learning like the actual like theoretical back end that grounded a lot of the concepts that like I was kind of taught, but like in more of like a rote memorization manner, I guess. In
Yeah.
in middle school, learning it from like a more theoretical back end, like really got me interested because I think theory has always just been very fascinating to me, and grounding things in theory or like using it as a basis for kind of like more exploration was how I like was able to stomach the idea of like learning math, I guess.
Yeah. That's kind of interesting. It's like the whole idea around math is like, oh, there's like it's almost like a skill gap, and there's like this max pain that goes into either, no matter how much you're just a natural at it, there are core concepts and things that just have to be like almost building blocks before you can get to the next thing. Like going and kind of transitioning from that to, okay, NASA, then the SpaceX experience, and you're there and you kind of, well, you're getting hands on with satellites. You're learning more about that industry. Was it truly just you saw this opening and you're like, okay, well, if I don't go do this thing right now and just like launch this company, I'm probably one of the most qualified people to go for it. Like, what was your kind of thought process behind leaving, which was probably like a pretty lucrative role at SpaceX to just like go off and do your own thing?
Yeah, so it wasn't like I guess as straightforward as like me leaving SpaceX and then like immediately starting Constellation.
Yeah,
My idea was like I'm gonna go to grad school, like do a PhD program and like see how that is. Because again, I was just like interested in theory. I was like, how do I do that more? So I actually started a PhD program in theoretical physics after leaving SpaceX. I did that for like
that's
a
nuts.
few months. This is not what I want to do with my life. So I was like kind of I was doing a lot of stuff on the side. I like had a full time job like as a software engineer while doing my PhD while working on Constellation, and it kind of just like took that much for me to like feel satisfied in what I was doing. So I was like, why am I like half assing? I don't know if I'm allowed to cuss, but like, why am I
No,
like
you can
half
cuss.
doing?
Do your thing.
Oh, okay, awesome. Yeah, I'm like, why am I half-assing like all these things? I should just like focus on one thing that like blends the other stuff together in a in enough of a way to like keep me satisfied, I guess, with what I'm doing. And Constellation was like a good mix of that, where like I was like, okay, there's like practical applications for this in the sense that I get to work with other satellite operators. I get to like listen to their problems, and then there's also the theoretical aspect, which is like space travel is like an incredibly novel, incredibly exciting thing that's extremely dynamic, and it kind of has that like exciting factor to it where it's like I don't know necessarily what like a year now is going to be like
Yeah.
we're going to do a lunar flyby this year, like we haven't had humans anywhere near the moon in a very long time, so it's just all really exciting stuff, I think.
Before we jump into Constellation, like, why do you think we've like stayed away from the moon? Like, if you had some sort of, you like theory, if you had some sort of like outlandish thought, it's like, oh man, well, the moon just isn't, I don't know, useful or whatever the case is. Like, why do you think there was such a big gap between moon missions to where like now it's like the moon looks like, the sexiest thing on the planet and everyone wants to get there?
Mhm. Well, I guess like the practical reason is probably like the like Challenger explosion and like stuff like that. Um, I'm like fairly deep into a lot of space conspiracy theories.
Yeah.
Um,
You're threatening me with a good time because I love this stuff. Like, I love this shit.
yeah. So I think it all kind of like not to like I won't like go down any like specific rabbit holes, but to me, like so I double majored in computer science and philosophy in my undergrad. And like one really interesting thing that kind of came out as a result of that was learning a lot about like theoretical physics because
Mhm.
like computer science is like like grounded in like the physics of like a machine, right, or like a theoretical machine. And philosophy is like obviously like extremely theoretical. So thinking about like physics and a theoretical concept was extremely interesting because
Mm.
you run into like interesting situations with like statistical mechanics, for example. I don't know if you've heard of like the Boltzmann brain thought
No.
experiment. It's
What's
like,
that?
imagine uh, so the universe existing and like all of the things in the universe, it's incredibly unlikely for all of those things to have been created, just like ontologically speaking, right? Like, if I gave you like a box and you didn't know what was in it, and I
Yeah.
was like, okay, there's either one particle in there or like 5 trillion particles in there, you'd be like, it's probably more likely that there's one particle in there.
Yeah.
And it's the same kind of with the universe. The Boltzmann brain is the idea that like there's like some sort of like consciousness that just like imagines the universe, and so like you're like that consciousness. And
Yeah.
so instead of like a Pizza Hut existing somewhere across the world, you're just imagining the idea of a Pizza Hut existing somewhere across the world. It seems a lot more likely that you would be imagining such a thing
Mm.
than for it to happen.
That's
So I
interesting.
think as that applies to space, like I'm very skeptical about space in general, which is funny because Constellation is a space company.
It's kind of it kind of mirrors. I was chatting with the CEO of StarCloud, and we were talking about the idea that if there was other life elsewhere, like why wouldn't we see them more often? Why wouldn't they be here? Like all these things around like there could be other life forms out there, but it's more increasingly likely that like we're potentially here alone. And as a byproduct of being here alone, or maybe not being here alone, we might be more advanced than like what else is out there because we actually haven't seen it. And if it was really that advanced across millions and millions of years, we would have seen something by now. So it kind of like aligns with the idea that until there's a reason to be optimistic that there's something out there that could be bigger and badder, we might just be the big bad thing that like exists. I don't know. It's intriguing.
Yeah, definitely. Um, I guess my like the logical extreme of what I'm saying is like a little crazier, but just like from like a first principles basis, it just seems hard to be like, yeah, there's like an alien somewhere. I
Yeah.
just haven't seen him yet. It's like, yeah, like I don't think that. Yeah, I don't know if that exists.
So I want to jump now to something that is less theoretical and more practical, which is Constellation. You're in Y Combinator. You're building this really cool company. Like, if you had to give me kind of the value prop as to like, we saw this problem, we think we can solve it in a way better than anybody else is currently doing it, and we're going on this quest and journey to the stars to do exactly that.
Yeah, absolutely. So the foundation for Constellation, as I kind of mentioned, was very much rooted in like a very specific experience that I had. Um, I felt like while I was doing that, that like the amount of resources that like SpaceX, which is like this gigantic company, allocating towards this versus like the ROI of like solving these problems was extremely like disparate. And it just seemed like logical to me to be like, I wonder if other satellite companies or like space companies, have a lot of people working on this problem.
Yeah.
And after talking to some people, the answer is no. And the answer is also like, we're not a software company, we're a space company, which is kind of the like motivating thesis behind a lot of our like competitors and like people in the landscape of Constellation, like Quindar, for example. I think that's like literally on their website is like, you didn't start a space company to build software or like whatever. But so, so kind of like that sentiment, and then also like AI has become a more prevalent thing, that like everyone kind of uses. It seemed like logical to me to be like, let's like bridge those two. And what I found is like bridging those two is like an incredibly novel thing. And while there are companies that are like kind of like going as fast as they can, like trying to do that, it doesn't really make that much sense from the perspective of like a space company.
Mm.
Like for example, isn't building AI products, right? They're building rockets and they're launching satellites and rockets. So from their perspective, it makes a lot more sense uh, to kind of like get that from a third party, and from our perspective as a software company, that like kind of understands some of those hardware limitations. It makes sense for us to build that software and like ship it to them essentially.
It kind of falls in line with the idea that when we look at AI here, that isn't trying to go beyond the frontier. It's like, oh, everything was for, I mean, probably even still now, like most of the AI stuff that's being built is all like software, 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 software. And now we're kind of seeing this kind of flight to hardware where VCs are like, oh yeah, 10 years ago, we didn't think hardware was that cool because nobody could compete with Apple and Android. But now if you're doing hardware, you're like considered cool again. Whereas like in space, it's like, yeah, hardware is so fucking difficult that like we're doing a ton of hardware and we don't really want to touch the software because that takes us away from the thing that we're best at, which is like trying to see how we can get into space faster and do things in a more efficient way with our hardware. And that opens the door for a new, almost like a new era of software companies to say, we can service space companies that have billions of dollars to do these insane missions, and the software needs to work and it needs to be best in class, and we can give ourselves a chance to do this better than anybody else.
Yeah, absolutely. And I also think like I kind of mentioned a little earlier, it's very much like right place, right time. We've seen like an influx in companies that seek to kind of like streamline the process of launching, satellites, or forming their own like fleet, whether that's by using like ground stations as a service, or even like automating the entire kind of end to end for companies that produce satellites. We just see our solutions as like very much in line with that kind of like mindset, right? Of like
Yeah.
democratizing access to space constellations.
So I love the idea, and I love that you guys have like found this kind of this entryway that like, I mean, I'm sure you have competitors, but ideally you're kind of in this position where it's like, okay, we can go in and solve these problems at a high level. There's a very good chance that we can be successful. Like, walk me through kind of the thought process of, you have this idea, you think there's a chance to do it at a high level, and you decide to go the Y Combinator route. Like, what was that like? That whole application process, like you putting your team together, what was that whole process like for you?
Yeah. So, like I mentioned, I was like kind of working on it with a ton of other stuff, and so my ask was like pretty basic for like my co-founders. I guess like when I first like introduced the idea to them, I'd been working on it for like 4 or 5 months, kind of like on the side, and I introduced it to them, and I was like, okay, like I need 1 hour from each of you every week to like work on this with me. We're gonna get funded. We're all gonna quit our jobs. We're gonna like move out and like live together and like work super hard on this startup idea. Everyone was kind of bored of their like corporate job, so they were all like super excited about it. I was super excited because the co-founders are like the smartest people I know. So I got their buy-in. I was like, one of my co-founders, Omid, I was like, okay, we're gonna apply to A16Z and Y Combinator, A16Z speedrun and Y Combinator. We're gonna get one of them, and if we do, you have to get my name tattooed on your finger. And he was like, okay.
No way.
So yeah. So we applied to A16Z, speedrun, and Y Combinator, and we got into Y Combinator. And well, he hasn't gotten my name tattooed on his finger yet, but I think that's to come. Maybe like seedrun, but so yeah. So that's how the process went. I honestly did not like do a lot of the stuff that I see like people do for Y Combinator applications. For me and for the team, it's just very straightforward. We were like, we have this idea, we have like some early traction in terms of like talking to some of these space companies about our idea. Just made sense to apply, and I think the partners liked us during the interview. I dropped like the democratizing space line, and they like nodded their heads collectively. So I think that
yeah, this guy's onto something. I like that.
Yep.
So like, you didn't really, I mean, you seem like someone, maybe it's just you're like, just give it off, but you give me this vibe that you're just like very composed under pressure. Like, I've chatted with some folks and they're like, oh man, I went to the YC interview and bro, we thought we absolutely bombed it. And like, they just get in and they're like, yeah, we didn't think we were going to get in. And that's been kind of a reoccurring theme. And like, I'm chatting with you and you're like, yeah, we kind of had an idea, and I told them we were going to get in because I knew we were going to get in. I mean, you're cracked, right? But ultimately, you seem like you're able to stay very calm under pressure. Like, would you say that you are like that's your personality trait as well?
I think I like to think that at least. But I think for me, it's kind of like I feel very like grateful and like privileged to be in the position that I'm in, and to find myself like with the opportunities that I find myself kind of having. So for me, it's like if I react in like whatever way, like I could be
Yeah.
like shorting myself of like this potential like opportunity or like potential to grow in a certain way. And for Y Combinator specifically, I was like, okay, we're going to apply to these programs. But then also on the side, I do my like backlog. I was like talking to like 4 or 5 like VCs, and I was like in final talks with 2 of them, like while we were waiting for the YC decision. So yeah, I try to minimize the like possibility of putting myself in a tough spot as much as possible, I guess.
Mhm.
And and yeah, even when I'm in a tough spot, it's like you know it, it's better to be anxious and stressed once than it is to be anxious and stressed twice. Like if you're
Mm.
stressed about this stuff that's going to come, it's like you're just doing that for no reason. So yeah, I think I very much kind of like try to embody that philosophy of like it's better to be stressed once than twice, I guess.
I mean, that's a good piece of advice. I think that especially in life when you're kind of put in positions where you're taking like a risk of like, okay, well, we want to leave our jobs and do this thing, and you don't know, and you don't really have. I mean, I think it's a little different with you, right? Because I look at your background and I'm like, okay, if there was anybody that I had to bet on to like kind of do this thing, I would pick the guy that worked at NASA and SpaceX, just because like it makes more sense. And then like your ability to go out and get the top 3, 4 guys that that are cracked to join you on this endeavor, right? Like I feel like it's a bit more of an obvious, at least to me, it feels like it as an obvious signal of like, okay, like if YC is going to back somebody, it's going to be this type of a founder because they check every box as to fitting the lane of the product they're building, and you don't get better signal than that. I invested in another batchmate of yours who was like worked on this very obscure data problem like at Goldman Sachs, and then he quit his job. Same kind of concept. He wanted something more, quit his job in New York, moved to SF, and then he launched Core Layer, and he's in the current batch. And it was kind of the same thing where it's like certain founders kind of give you the signal that it makes sense. But it's also a thing, there's tons of people that wouldn't be willing to take the risk, even though they know they have that thing that's like biting at them to start. Because to your point, the idea of being in an uncomfortable situation is a bit more off-putting than just kind of like going through that moment, that temporary moment of uncomfortability versus a lifetime of being like agitated by what you're doing or not doing in a sense.
Mhm. Yeah, definitely. And I would also say like I try to mitigate the uncomfortability as much as possible. Like I was like doing like 3 things at a time because I would rather like stretch out my time than take like an insane risk.
Yeah.
So I kind of knew like, okay, like once we get this off the ground, it's going to do extremely well. This is like a really good idea. I kind of knew that because I like worked on this problem for 2 years. But yeah, I guess it just took that impetus before starting at Y Combinator, and it's been going pretty well.
Well, I'm glad you did, because now I get to take you to one of my favorite parts of the segment. I'm going to take you through a lightning round brought to you by our sponsor, Warp. They're another YC startup. In an earlier batch, they automate payroll, HR, and compliance using AI. And we do a rapid fire speed round where you have to answer 5 questions in rapid fire format about startups, tech, venture capital, and specifically because you're a space tech founder, it's going to be a little bit of space themed stuff. So let me know if you're ready.
I'm ready.
All right. First question. What is the most overrated technology in the space startup niche right now?
Space startup niche.
It could be anything within the space industry. What do you think is the most overrated technology right now?
Starship.
Okay. What's one truism that you actually disagree with?
What's a truism?
Like something that is perceived to be true that like you have your reservations about.
I see. Hard work beats talent.
Hmm. All right. That's interesting too, because it's like to the point you can work hard for a long time at something and lose to somebody who's like just genuinely more talented, even if they didn't work as hard. Like hard work is kind of perceptive.
Yeah, like have you seen like Terrence Tao? Like I'm never gonna be Terrence Tao. Like that would be great. So we'll just have it, I guess.
All right. If you weren't building the current company you're building in space, what other sector of space would be of interest to you?
What other sector like outside of space?
Yeah. Like if you weren't building in the space like industry, what other sector would be interesting to you?
Animal conservation, I think.
I love that like your duality is like the thing that's so far away from us and then like something that's so earthly. It, like it's actually quite funny.
I love animals, and I have to like balance those two things where I'm like, animals are so primitive, and space is so like you're saying, far away.
All right, question number 4. Would you rather raise money too early or bootstrap too long?
Bootstrap too long, definitely.
All right. Last and final question. What's more important for success today in the space industry? Launch access or capital?
Ooh. Well, F9's been pretty good. I'd say capital,
Yeah.
probably. Yeah. The launch windows are getting a little further away, but it looks like there are a couple of other providers that are stepping in. Electron from Rocket Lab, and well, I guess Blue Origin decommissioned their rocket. Oh, that's unfortunate. All right, I changed my launch ability.
I want to know because you said that Starship seems a bit overrated. When you look at kind of like the landscape of like these space Uber providers, who actually do you believe has a genuine chance of competing with Musk on that scale? If anyone.
Yeah, I would say at the scale that SpaceX is operating at, probably Amazon. Maybe in the earlier days, Rocket Lab, but Rocket Lab is quite scrappy.
Mhm.
I mean, they're like a company. It's hard to say they're scrappy, but they're no Amazon.
Yeah.
Like Amazon like consolidates uh, their mega constellation. I think it'll be very hard for SpaceX to kind of stand their ground.
Really?
It,
Interesting.
it seems like it.
Yeah.
Seems like it. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
We're
Oh, I was
keeping
gonna say, like, I think launch like 6,000 satellites next year, just like half of the Starlink fleet. So
That's crazy. I mean, I knew Bezos was moving different, but I didn't know it was that different.
yeah, he just does whatever it takes, I guess.
But I
So
mean, like on paper, I would think that like because Elon has had such an advantage, he would have like some sort of technical advantage as well. Is that like pretty much like null and void? Like he doesn't really, SpaceX doesn't have a crazy tech advantage over the field anymore.
they definitely have smart people, but I think it's kind of the same trap that like maybe OpenAI kind of has fallen into, where their focus is so much on these like abstract, like faraway goals, where they haven't really like nurtured the product that makes them a lot of money and like gets them a
Mm,
lot of impact. But OpenAI had like GPT, and then they were like, okay, we're gonna make people pay for this, and we're gonna like work on some like random AGI stuff, right? And then obviously like Claude Code came in, and they're like, we're really good at coding, and now
yeah.
everyone uses code. It seems kind of the same with SpaceX, where Elon is like, yeah, we're gonna like have humans on exoplanets, and then F9 is kind of just like there, like, oh, like what's special about F9? Not much, I guess.
When you think about kind of, and it's crazy because you talk about like the long goals, but it really does feel like a lot of what, for at least these very ambitious space companies, a lot of what the long-term vision is based on kind of short-term stopgaps that, to your point, provide value to the market immediately, right? Like the ability to create the best product that just sends other people's satellites and things to space. When you look at that and you see what you guys are doing and how you're going to service like these different satellite companies, right? Do you feel like you're just going to be able to bite and chew everything initially, or do you have kind of these stopgap contingencies that allow you to kind of provide a proof of concept of, oh, we make money in these ways or revenue in these ways, but the long-term vision is we want to get over here?
Yeah, definitely. But I think the good thing about Constellation is that our short-term goal is very much just like a small piece of the big goal. It's not like a stopgap where it's like something completely separate. Not saying that's the case for SpaceX, I guess, because they are going to use Starship to take people to the moon and stuff. But for Constellation, it's very much the case that we want to make space communication as resilient as the terrestrial internet. And the way to do that is essentially to ingest nodes in space and just treat them like we do nodes on the ground, right? Like make sure that they're optimized for resilience essentially. And the way that we do that is across like traffic congestion, SNR, which is like the signal to noise ratio, and weather patterns. Whereas like in the terrestrial internet, you could have maybe a rain event affect a cell tower. In space, it's like KP index, like solar flares and stuff like that, right? You still have rain anomalies, but you have like all of these external things now as well. To us, it seems like it's the case that as this expands, resilience can only be formed by sort of like cohering all of the various pieces of it together into like a unified kind of system. And doing that, is quite a lofty goal, but starting off, we're still like solving that problem just at a smaller scale.
That's super interesting. So like if you have it your way, you are almost like the broadband connector for all of these space constellations to communicate in the most efficient way possible, regardless of what their end goal or mission is with, their day-to-day operations.
Yeah, absolutely. We see a lot of companies, like I mentioned, like kind of unifying the space layer, and we think it's incredibly interesting to work on some of these problems. With like, well, like it's very interesting because minded folks will like build out like the most efficient hardware solution, put it in space, and then like they're like, yeah, like ideally we'd get like I don't know, like 30 gigabits per second throughput. And then like in reality, it's like 20 or 15. And it's like, where's that loss coming from? The loss is coming from programmatic inaccuracies, things that could have been predicted, things that could have prevented you from losing, if each customer is like 3 megabits, you're losing like quite a few customers, right? Like 50 customers or something like that. If your link degrades past a certain amount. And that multiplied across links is like can be several thousands of customers. So kind of like going from like the hardware like theory to like the reality of operations, bridging that gap is essentially what we're trying to do. And that's essentially how we see ourselves. Like you kind of mentioned, right? Like the broadband for 6G communication, bridging that gap between hardware and the reality of operations.
When you look at kind of the landscape of how much hardware has been so curated and glorified that it has led to, a lack of throughput in software inefficiencies and almost like for you guys, like a software arbitrage. Do you like, is that in large parts of just people not understanding that in theory, things tend to be a bit brighter than they actually are in actuality?
Yeah, I think so. I think it goes back to kind of like the lofty goal setting. Like SpaceX does the launch stuff very well, with F9 at least. And I think a large part of that is because once they had F9 working, they started like refining some of the tech debt, right? They went backwards and they were like, okay, let's like fix X, Y, and Z that could potentially cause launch failures. Let's expand our launch sites, things of that nature. With Starship and with Starlink, it's like, we're going to make it cooler and better and faster and more awesome. And that's going to solve all of our problems. And the reality of that is that, you have more technical debt that accumulates over time that becomes insurmountable past a certain point. Your product is amazing on paper, but not so much in practice. And so it definitely seems to be the case that, like I mentioned, like the reason I think Amazon will overtake Starlink in the next couple of years is because now they have Starlink as like a baseline. They're like, this is what's good, this is what's bad. Now we're going to make like the middle works well enough to like make us more money than Starlink. Whereas Starlink is going to keep, trying to get more customers, trying to increase the throughput of their, backhaul connections, and stuff of that nature. So yeah, it's definitely, of that nature of kind of like, making sure that you build fast enough to like beat your competition, but not so fast that you accumulate technical debt that like destroys you from the inside.
It's almost like and this last question I have on this segment, but it's almost like the sailboat competition analogy, where it's like the kind of the market leader, right? They're almost like they're penalized for innovating a little bit too much, because like things could go wrong. But it's also a thing if they have to optimize for customers they currently have, while also trying to continue being the market leader. Meanwhile, the sailboat that's sailing behind the main one, right? The main one's tracking all the winds, and the second one's just following the exact same course until it sees kind of a better outcome or a way to almost capitalize on an inefficiency from the main sailboat. It's almost like that's kind of what Bezos and his crew are doing with Elon right now.
Yeah, absolutely. It definitely seems like that.
So I want to pivot this because I've really enjoyed chatting with you about like kind of these deep inner workings. But at the end of the day, it's also interesting that you're a startup founder and you have a wealth of knowledge, even leading back to you saying like, hey, I was working on a couple of things and then I decided to, go in this way or that way. But I just kind of want to get your like candid thoughts. When you think about building something, there are tons of people in this era that are going to look to take AI and do various different things. What is some advice that you would have, or some great advice that you've gotten along your journey when you've been chatting with potential customers, building out what this looks like, crafting the vision of Constellation at a high level? What's some advice that you like took to heart and that really helped you along your journey?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the best advice I've received in that regard goes back to SpaceX, actually. I think SpaceX is like a really, really great place to like go before you become a founder. And I think that is like also reflected in like the amount of founders that have built like insane companies that are SpaceX alum. But I think a large kind of reason for that is one of the first things you kind of like begin to understand at SpaceX is that everyone there is smarter than you. And you go there and you're like, oh, I'm this like really smart person that's like done all these cool things, and now I'm at this like cool space company and I'm gonna be like the coolest person here. And that's not true. Like everyone is smarter than you. And you'll like be talking to someone and like the things that they say will be so far over your head that you're like, am I even in the right place? Right. It's like that imposter syndrome kind of loop that starts to happen. And I think the major takeaway of that is not the fact that like you're not the smartest person in the room, therefore you can't succeed, but more so that you're not the smartest person in the room, therefore you must like work with other people and kind of leverage like what makes you special with what makes other people special. So I think like once you get past the like disheartenment of like that situation, being a startup founder is like very, very straightforward. You have that mindset of like, I'm good at certain things. I'm not going to pretend like I'm the best at everything, because I'm not. I'm going to surround myself with people that are. And while I build that sort of like scaffolding around me, it's okay to experiment and it's okay to like do things, maybe not in the like best way, but in a way that's kind of good enough to like get the ball rolling. I think that's the best advice I would have for like startup founders, is to like get the ball rolling, and like the people that like you need will like come and stick to the ball once it like gets big enough, I guess.
That was great advice. Like just the whole idea that you should also just not let your ego get in the way when someone is smarter than you, because that's kind of like the nature of building anything great. Like the whole idea that Elon is probably not the smart, like Elon's probably not even the 10th smartest person at SpaceX. Like,
yeah,
it probably just isn't. I don't know. I'm guessing they're like the people there are so cracked, or it's like, I mean, the same way you dedicate your life to this, there are so many others. But a lot of times founders do kind of get into this trap of trying to touch everything and be everything and do everything. And sometimes you have to know like when you're the best for something and when you're not, and like how to leverage what you are best at to get people who are best at other things to, build your own almost like SpaceX mode.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, yeah, it's a really great place. I highly recommend like working at SpaceX until you get burned out inevitably, and then start a company.
What is like the hardest part about, like, candidly, what's the hardest part about working at SpaceX, like, and dealing with burnout?
Yeah. Well, there's like this thing at SpaceX where they'll give you like 10% more to do than what is like possible humanly to do in like a week. And then it's up to you to like prioritize or whatever. Um, but the people that do like exceptionally well get like 110% of the work done, which means like not sleeping very much. And like your whole life kind of becomes work, which is like fine. But I think it's definitely more fulfilling for your whole life to be work and you to be working on something that like is very directly um, impactful and very directly something that you kind of like envisioned yourself doing versus like
Mm.
even though you're like on cool stuff at SpaceX, there are some degrees of separation, right? And it's like you're expected to be like a founder mode, whatever, but you're working for like Elon, so it's like less
Yeah,
exciting.
it's like the idea of, you don't have, I mean, you have equity, but like, you're not keeping yourself up all night for something that, like, you're getting the life-changing return if it becomes $1 billion company. You can make millions and you could like contribute, but like, at the end of the day, it's not like your jersey being hung in the rafters when like the work you do in in combination with everyone's work kind of like just leads to, oh, we're all at SpaceX and we did great, even though we worked like crazy hours, but like Elon's still the guy, right? Versus like now, I mean, dude, if you crush it, you're not only the guy, but like you change an entire industry.
Mhm. Yeah, it's definitely the case that like I don't know, maybe this is like more like a symptom of like the times or whatever, but
Yeah.
like the smartest people are working on like the less consequential problems, like on mass, and maybe that's like a lack of social skills past like a certain IQ or something like that. But yeah, like in like academia and stuff, you see like the most insanely smart people, and they're working on some like trivial stuff, right? Or not trivial. I don't want to say trivial, but like very abstract at least.
Yeah.
Trivial when it comes in regards to like commercial impact or whatever. And then the people that are like making the most commercial impact tend to be maybe like in the medium range or you know of that sort. But yeah, so it's kind of odd, right? It's like you can be like super smart and then work on something inconsequential and like hate your life, or you could like divert that energy and like start something and get go through like slightly more difficult stuff, but like in the end contribute a lot more than you otherwise could.
That's well said. I mean, I could only imagine how many people are just like, and maybe it is just a byproduct of, you get to a point where because you are so smart or your IQ is so high, you don't really find value in working on something that like would just be seen like as a mainstream problem. Like, oh yeah, like I'm creating the next like Canva competitor with AI or something, like, or an AI agent that does B2B sales, right? Like, for a lot of really, really smart people, that shit would be boring to do. It's like, okay, like, what the fuck am I doing? Right? Like, I mean, like, you don't strike me as somebody who's like, oh man, like, I would go and build a B2B in AI. Nothing wrong with it. Don't get me wrong. There's nothing wrong with that. If that's somebody else's like passion or like want, but you don't strike me as someone that's like, oh yeah, I'd love to go build like AI agents for like UGC content or something. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
And there's nothing wrong with it. I'm just saying, like, I agree with your point that a lot of times really smart people finally find more value in working on something that just is outside of the status quo because it's not something of like true deep embedded interest. But to your point, you can go so far to where you do end up in that little clusterfuck of, I'm working my life off for Elon Musk for something that also isn't that interesting to me, but like I was so disinterested in other things that I never found the thing I actually care about or even took the courage to find it. That's scary.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And you can also kind of like form your little safe haven in the monotony, I guess, of that kind of work, which I think is a fairly dangerous thing to do if you're if if you are super smart. You definitely be like benefiting the world more by starting
Yeah.
your own thing or through other ways.
Well, bro, I've really enjoyed this conversation with you, and we have to end it with one more game, or else it wouldn't be a game show. And the same way I chat with every founder and bring them on, you have to now go through the same rite of passage of predicting the correct format of whether or not a startup founder got into YC based on their pitch. You now become the YC partner, and you got to go 3 for 3. You got to get 3 in a row right. If you don't, then there's nothing bad that happens, but I feel like you can dissect the hell out of a company. So I'm excited to see you break down some of these startups.
All right.
At any point in time, you can stop me if you feel like if someone got in or not. So don't feel like you have to sit through some god awful boring pitch if you already know. But we're gonna jump right in. Let's see what we got.
Hi, it's Łukasz, the solo founder of Control AI. For the last 6 years, I've been working on machine learning robustness across both academia at Columbia and the University of Warwick, and on the business side at BCG and Palantir. I've spoken to countless clients.
You think he got in?
That's an exception. I think so. I'd be surprised if he didn't.
Oh no!
What?
He got rejected, but he was in the top 10%. Damn, YC's tough. I mean, he was speaking some fire for a minute. That's wild. All right,
maybe solo founder.
Yeah, that might have been what killed him. I don't know many solo founders. They do let some in, but it's not often. All right, number 2, time for redemption. Let's see what we got.
Hey, what's up, YC? My name is Jack. I studied machine learning and data science at the University of Chicago.
Hey, I'm John. I met Jack at UChicago, where I studied game theory, and I've been building successful businesses since I was 13.
We're building the fastest used goods marketplace powered by artificial intelligence. We recommend users listings like TikTok recommends videos. We first validated this idea by creating a Facebook group for residents of San Francisco to list and auction off their items locally. We grew this to 115 users in just 2 days.
We realized we did not have enough supply, so we built an iOS app, and we're scraping thousands of listings every day from Mountain View, Sunnyvale, and Palo Alto, and we're putting them onto our app for our users.
We grew our revenue to $162 in just 3 weeks. We're fine-tuning and shipping new code every single day to the App Store, and we're working full-time here in Mountain View.
You think that's an accept or reject?
I think it's a reject. I also think it's kind of weird that they filmed the whole video outside just for the end to be a panned sign. But I think it's a reject. $160.
I don't think they should have said that. They should have never announced whatever the revenue was. I was like, they said that as if that was exciting. And yeah, you were absolutely correct. They did not get in. Redemption handled. You have one more. Let's see if you can close it out on a good note. And what is it with everybody doing these fucking pitches outside or in these random public places? Do it in a room where you don't have a shit ton of background noise.
Hey YC, I'm Akash, and I've been a product engineer at Asana and Blend Labs.
Hey YC, I'm Mitch, and I'm an engineer from Amazon.
And we're the co-founders of Haddock, and we met on Co-Founder Match. Haddock is a platform that helps travelers create itineraries based on their preferences within seconds. We are giving travelers the power to customize their own experiences and collaborate with friends on their trips.
Every year, over 1.4 billion people arrive and internationally at an airport just like this one.
Okay.
A person spends 10 hours on average planning a holiday trip. And that's a...
Oh, you want me to stop it?
Yeah, it might be an accept, but just because they're in an airport and they're probably at some point in the video going to be even right now, we're traveling to go see a customer.
Yeah, I still don't know what the hell they do. And you were spot on. It was indeed a reject. So you redeemed yourself. 2 for 3 is still pretty good. I would have, top 10%. You're not really that far off on the first one. But 2 for 3 is pretty good. So it's all good. You redeemed yourself this time.
Yeah, no, I feel like I don't really know what YC wants, but I just kind of applied and it worked out. So
sometimes that's all you need. Well, Kamran, I appreciate you coming on, bro. It was a pleasure. I'm sure I'll meet you out in San Francisco. I plan on coming out there in a couple weeks. So if I throw together a dinner, man, I'm gonna shoot you an invite.
Yeah, that sounds awesome.
All right, brother. Thank you so much. Have a great rest of your day. And yeah, we'll talk soon.
Awesome. Thanks for having me on.
Take care. Ah, man, he was cool. It was cool. Good conversation. I think that guy, you know, it's interesting because certain people, I don't know why my little thing is like pulling me, but okay. As I was saying, certain people, what's up, Ice and Dark? Certain people, you can just kind of tell. Like, I knew that guy was like incredibly smart just by kind of like, I would say his overall analysis of each question. Love the stream. What's up, Gabe? How you doing, bro? Congrats on the event, by the way. So like his overall, the way he was, his analysis of each question was like actually very good. He was like, you know what? Let me break this thing down. And that's a sign of someone who, like, people who really take the time to think before they speak, like at a high level. Like, okay, like I'm just gonna like really think about and be thoughtful around what I want to say. I feel like that's a high sign. That's a sign of like a sign of high intelligence. So no, that was a good conversation. Very stimulating. I enjoyed chatting with him. Alrighty. We're gonna jam out for a little bit more. I want to like check out startups, see what I've missed, man. We haven't done just a stream where I'm just kind of like jamming out in a minute. So that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna jam out for a little bit. I'm gonna just like look up stuff, see what's happening across like the venture space. Oh man, Camille is on it, man. I love it. Oh, I need to put out this post. Let me repost with my thoughts. Let me put out this post. Oh, why am I doing this when I could just talk with Whisperflow? My head of content, Camille, has been doing an incredible job sourcing some of the brightest and talented startup founders to join us on our venture game show. I love it. If you're a startup founder building something cool or a venture capitalist looking to chat on stream about your thesis, shoot my head of content. Camille is loving LinkedIn. A message. We'd love to have you on the show. Bro, Whisperflow is actually so good. So good. Have a meeting with the mayor of the tier 1 city in the middle of this month. Yeah, bro, you're cooking. You're cooking. I love to see it. I love to see it. Let's check the invitations. Anybody interesting in the invitations? Creative designer. I don't know who this is. Who is this? Startup founder? Not sure. Don't know who that is. Cover X AI. I feel like I've heard of this guy, Joe Chase. Why do I feel like I've heard of him before? I feel like I've heard of this guy. Why not? I'll accept you. Acceptamundo. UT Austin Computer Science. You're probably cool. Love the content. I love when people message me on LinkedIn and they just like share this. That's like an immediate accept. Computer science at Berkeley, and you have this like picture. You're probably smart as shit. Maybe like high chance you're smart. I'll accept this guy. I'm just like completely just like previous researcher at Stanford, software engineer at LiveRamp. I like accepting anybody who's just building something. Data-driven platform. Hi, I'm building Unique, a compatibility-driven creator platform where influencers run psychology-based campaigns and fans gain exclusive access while connecting. What? Connecting around romance, business. Yeah, my bad, Dev. I'm just going through. We're going through LinkedIn connections. I don't know any of these people, but this guy said he's building Unique. What is this? How you feeling, Dev? Okay, he's on Forbes. Sacramento. I don't even have many connections from Sacramento. I don't really know him. And he wants to raise money. I'm okay for now. Nothing against you, brother. Accelerate. Hey, man, really like the work you do in your videos. Thought it'd be great to connect. We move into a new house this week. Hey, let's go. The builder's insane now. We definitely have to chop it up. It's been too long. Like, we haven't hopped on a call in a minute. Computer hardware engineer with inference stuff. Google intern. He's probably cracked. We'll keep an eye on him. My boy Adam, I think. Crypto marketing strategist. I like crypto, but no, sorry. Caldwell Banker Realty. Maximizing global aerospace potential. Let me see. Who's this? My connections. This guy's in space. What does he do? Founder at Asgard Space. Building advanced aerospace manufacturing company. Honestly, that's a really good industry. Just be like, oh, I'll add him. You got to do a house tour, bro. All right, that's enough going through this. If I miss somebody, let your boy know. Let me know. Let me know. Let me know. Let me know. This thing just gets Valkyrie Fund. She investing. Project manager. Seems like a VC. I'll add her. I like to keep the VCs on tabs. VCs, LPs, you never know when I'll raise a fund. Did I miss something? We chatted with founders. Now I'm just like, we chatted with the founder in the space tech space. Now I'm just going through my LinkedIn and seeing if I'm missing anybody interesting. Connor, I'll add you. You seem smart. Zivex Rockets. I buy a lot of houses. I got to help you get one for cheap. My company buys and sells like 2 to 3 a week. What the hell? That's nuts. 2 to 3 a week is crazy. Yeah, I mean, when I'm in the house buying market, I will definitely like, I'm gonna be honest, like I don't know enough about real estate to be like, I'm going to be a real estate investor. Like from everything I heard, real estate is like where you park your cash. When you've made a lot of cash. I have not made a lot of cash yet, so I'm like, I don't have anything to park. Oh no, bro, use other people's money. I see what you're saying. I mean, it's kind of like the startup space where you like find a deal and then you just like get other people to invest. I'll add this guy, Chase Dalton. I'm adding some connections. Let me see this one. I'm also working towards building a venture media business. Would love to chat and compare notes. I wouldn't mind it normally, but right now I am a little bit too locked into chat. One of the things I've learned, just being like completely honest with you guys, when people say I want to pick your brain, 90% of the time, they don't mean any harm. But the one thing you cannot fucking do, you cannot let them pick your brain. Not because you don't want to help them, but because time is so limited that like, it's like almost, it becomes like almost technical debt. Hey, Bryce, just saw your post. Congrats on getting into YC. That's huge. When are you guys planning to launch? Gee, I don't know. When I get into YC, I'll let you know. That's hilarious. Partner at Dash VC. I always accept VCs. Bro said, congrats on getting into YC. My brother in Christ. Brand strategist. I'll let him know, man. When I get into YC, I'll be sure to let him know. All right, I think we're just about done. Now we're going to go through the DMs and see if I'm missing anything. Birds of a feather, we should stay together in Dude, this is actually, I can't keep going through these. This is actually just too much. And I don't know. I've been getting building. Yeah. Omar. Yes, sir, Omar. Yes, sir. We locked in, Omar. We locked in. Co-founder at Avion. We're building an all-in-one AI platform for Part 135 operator fleet management. Don't know what's going on there. What is this? My legal name is Math. Yes, like the subject. I got tired of sending cold emails. Brother, you're about to get an unconnect. I'm about to unconnect you, Math. I gotta unconnect you, brother. I don't know what just happened, but we have to remove this connection. That was a little bit too salesy. I love the content. Fellow builder would love to connect. This is how LinkedIn works. You just be like, yeah, I'd love to connect too. Great connecting. Hope all is well. That's like my that's like my professional LinkedIn response. Be like, great connecting. All right. Hey, Bryce, it's nice to meet you. I love that you covered defense tech with Terra. I'm a part of a 5-person team of 20-somethings building reusable rockets at Astron Systems. We have $380 million in LOIs and fully booked SpaceX launch it and fully booked launches because SpaceX takes too long to launch satellites and rockets. We'd love to have CEO Eddie on our podcast. Is this a real thing? Is she like business development at Astron Systems? 380 million in LOIs? Let's see. I need to know how much money these guys have raised. I need to know if this is a real thing. Astron Systems launches are booked through 2030. If you want to launch from Europe, wait, have they raised any money or is this a psyop? So they've only raised 100K, but they're booked until 2030 and they've only raised 100K? Somebody's lying and it might be me. I don't know. They might. I don't know enough about it. I'm going to just be like, can you share more? Hey, can you share more details? Have you guys raised any money? Impressive that you have 380 million in LOIs currently booked. Would be open to potentially chatting with him and learning more, but I would need a bit more information on the startup in general. That just seems a little sus, but I don't know. I've seen worse. Let's go through my unread. What does this say? Oh yeah, I gotta get a video out for Patient Desk. to find something. Wanted to follow up on availability. Was this? Oh yeah, I know this guy's probably smart. I think I know. I chatted with Rashid. What am I saying? Akshay. Yeah, I don't understand how you've only raised 100 racks. That doesn't make much sense to me. It doesn't make much sense. I'm like that Dave Ramsey thing where Dave Ramsey's like, are you sure? Are you sure you're not pulling my leg there? As I don't know. Rishi. What is next flow? Let's see. All right, next flow. Know what actually works on your body. Stop guessing, pick one habit, run a 14-day experiment and see. So it's like a simulator. You know what's crazy? The vesting format actually works really good for it actually works pretty damn good for this sort of a thing. Niam, I got one of my allocations for a crypto company I invested in. I got like I got like some of the tokens unlocked. I made a cool $200. That's it. Yeah. I told Camille, no, not Camille. I told Eli that's enough for me to get one new wedge. I can get one new Mizuno pitching wedge. I can buy this. Dude, we're also low-key LinkedIn low-key been cooking. We're at 2,300 on LinkedIn. I'm low-key vibing with LinkedIn. LinkedIn is the new Twitter, and Twitter is the new LinkedIn. Convincing myself we're living the American. Oh, these are fire. Since 2024, we've given 125 million a deck screener. Jeez. I'm looking for something interesting. Meta released a Super Bowl ad chasing iShow speed. SpaceX has acquired. Oh shit! He made the post. SpaceX has acquired XAI, forming one of the most ambitious vertically integrated innovation engines on and off Earth. Oh, it's kind of nuts. XAI joins SpaceX to accelerate humanity's future. SpaceX has acquired XAI to form the most. Okay, I read that. Current advances. What did they acquire them at? What's the valuation on that? It's kind of nuts. So does that mean X, which is like X as well, is also under that umbrella of acquisition? Right? In the history of spaceflight, there has never been so on paper this wouldn't make any sense, and it makes a lot of sense. And the reason why this makes sense is because All of these guys need more money. Everything needs more money. AI needs more money. Space needs more money. You stick the two together, and you got a recipe for more money. So now when they IPO, I mean, this might be the craziest IPO ever. When XAI and SpaceX IPO, you could be talking like, I actually want to search. Out of a potential 50 bill IPO. Is it me, or does that feel low? Elon Musk is merging SpaceX with artificial intelligence startup XAI. Am I tripping, or does like $50 billion seem low? Oh, 1.25 trillion. I kind of knew it. I was like, there's no way they're just IPOing at 50 billion. Oh, they're going to raise 50 billion at a 1.2 trillion dollar valuation. Okay. That makes sense. My money's on Google. My money is on Google. Oh, it's actually cooked. I want to check something out really quick. Let me see.
Is no longer theoretical.
Oh God, it's AI. I bet you this entire YouTube channel is AI, and I bet you it's fucking killing it.
Accelerating. And despite delays, the US may still land first. Behind the scenes, SpaceX is rethinking Starship in ways that most...
Oh, this is so slop. One new video every day. Yeah, these guys are crushing it.
For decades, space stations were something only governments could build. The ISS assembled over 35 missions.
This site is actual comedy. Actual comedy.
For decades, space stations were something only governments could build. The ISS assembled over 35 missions operated by 5 nations.
I can't. I fucking can't. Oh man, we need a better way to get information. I just can't. Oh, chat. Niam, give me some dinner suggestions. Low key, I want Thai food. I'm not gonna lie. I might see if I want Thai. I want Thai some kind of bad. Pho. But Thai tastes delicious. So. What is this guy doing? Niam, you haven't seen my chess skills in a while. And we'll be married in a year in the summer, with a kid on the way in 3. Convincing myself we're living the American dream. Where do I want to play? Maybe I actually don't mind trading knights. The kid who got it all wrong. Let's go here. Yeah, that's fine. And we'll go here. And we'll take here. And we still get the setup we were pretty much looking for. No. Takes. We'll go here. And here. That's fine. Takes. We'll go here. Take. Oh, he's really going for this. I kind of don't mind this. Maybe here. Actually, no, because he goes here. I made it. Go here. Okay, let's put king under threat. Queen under threat. Okay. We are going to go... Honestly, I don't know why I'm not playing for the win here. If I go here... Takes. We'll go... I think we go here. Yeah, that's the play. That is the play indeed. Here. And fine, we'll go here. Here. He's really going for it though. This guy is like sold on fighting that. I don't know why. I don't know what would possess him to think that's a good idea, but he was pretty sold on that. I think we go here. Force king to move. Then we'll go here. Then we will go here. Oh, I fucked that up. Actually, no, I didn't fuck up. And then we will go... I like here. I really like here. And I like here. And I like here. And I like... And I like here. Oh, I didn't like here. I lied. Okay, that's fine. Let's go here maybe. And then here. Okay. I can't go there. We will go... Oh, I'm running out of time. Let's go here. I can't even take there. I cannot take there yet. We can go here. Okay. If that's how you want to play it, I'll go here. And from there, we will go here. Force queen. I'm gonna lose on time. You're buying an albino what? I'm actually down. I'm actually down here. I lost this. Actually, not bad. Not bad. Not bad. Not bad. Time's gonna fucking kill me here. Fucking time's gonna kill me. I'm buying an albino water buffalo with a great set of horns. Gonna butcher it and preserve the skull and horns for my shop display. How much does an albino water buffalo cost? That sounds like absurd. An albino water buffalo. That's wild. Albino water buffalo. That's actually, I guess that's not that bad. Is it big? Can you breed it? Can you breed it to a cow? Or nah? That shit look crazy. That's just a cow, bro. That's literally just a cow. Oh, say less. That's a win. That is a win. All right. We're going to call it because I need to get some dinner and I still have some content to make. Oh, gosh. We'll be back tomorrow. Bright and early. Bright and early. Hopefully I can catch up. I'm like behind the 8 ball and like so much shit right now. So I love you guys. Have a great night. I will see you tomorrow. As always, become the impossible.